Hey there guys, Pinobi here bringing you a League of Legends commentary. This is actually the first time I've ever worked with League of Legends in a video making process, so hopefully you guys will be a little bit lenient on me if this doesn't turn out to be super high quality. But I have had to learn how to adapt new software to add this series to my repertoire of video making. So yeah, hopefully you'll like if you enjoy and all that kind of stuff. For those of you that aren't familiar with League of Legends, it is a free to download game, free to play. Very high quality considering that it's free. I have to really respect Riot Games, the company behind it, for doing that. Very, very awesome. You can see the team select here. I'm playing Tristana. She's a ranged AD carry. For those of you that are familiar with the game and familiar with the terminology, that means AD is an attack damage, ranged obviously meaning attacking from a distance, which is good. My partners, these are just random people. I'm playing what's called solo queue, not ranked. I myself am only level 13 in the game. I only started playing a week and 2 or 3 days ago, so definitely not a veteran in any sense like I am at Pokemon. So you don't have to revere my opinion or anything. We're just going to have some fun here. I might not be talking too much about the match. It wasn't the greatest match in all of history, but I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah, I have Katarina, she can do spell damage, Shaco, which does physical damage, Nunu, which could be a jungler, a tank, all that kind of stuff, also doing magic damage, and all that kind of stuff. Trinda, whatever his name is, Tryndamere, yeah, sorry, he's a melee carry, so pretty balanced team, to be honest. You can see that Soraka's heading to the mid lane, which was really confusing me, and as well as my teammates, they were trying to ping for her to go top. And I told her she could have mid if she wants it. I really am not too confrontational at this game. I don't particularly care about getting the mid lane, even though ranged characters are particularly good at the mid lane. The advantage to playing in the middle of the map, as you can see for those of you that don't know much about League of Legends, at the center of your base you have a nexus. The goal of the game is to take out your opponent's nexus, and you have what are called inhibitors surrounding that nexus in your base. There are 3 of them, and they're pretty much responsible for spawning these minions that travel these 3 different paths to go to your opponent's base. And along these paths there's 2 towers, an inner and an outer tower. And your goal basically is to try to take out your opponent's towers, allowing your minions to put pressure onto these lanes, these paths and avenues, to which you can navigate your champions upward to take out the inhibitors. And when inhibitors are destroyed, that means your opponent, well, actually it means that you're going to be spawning what are called super minions, so more powerful minions. And yeah, the inhibitors are actually responsible for reducing your opponent's minions from being as strong, but I sort of explained that a little bit backwards. But regardless, that's kind of the gist of the game. The point is to take out your opponent's nexus, and each team has 5 champions, to which they do combat, etc. And by killing champions and by killing minions, you can get gold, and these gold can be used to buy items to manipulate the battle in your favor. There are some neutral minions on the map. You can see on the mini-map. The mini-map is something I will refer to a lot, so you might want to get used to diverting your eyes over to it when necessary. On the river, you can see a little cutout cul-de-sac looking thing in the top portion of the river as well as the bottom portion. In these areas lie neutral monsters, and all throughout the jungle at these orange dots there are neutral monsters, which you can destroy for buffs and experience, etc. So getting back into the game a little bit more, if you're familiar with it, I started with a Doran's Blade. Doran's Blade's a pretty common item for AD carries, considering that it gives regeneration, solid lifesteal of 3%, I do believe. And the reason that that's pretty viable for ranged characters is because ranged characters can often do like little poking with their attacks and not really take too much damage, especially with the characters that I play, primarily Tristana and Corki, who have escape mechanisms in their W. For Tristana, it's Rocket Jump. For Corki, it's Valkyrie. Both of these moves allow a pretty easy escape, so you're not going to be taking much damage. Therefore, you don't really need something like a Boots 3 pot opening, which I do actually sometimes often use. It all kind of depends on who my opponent is, and if I have a particular lane that I think I'm going to be taking that match, etc. But like I said, I'm not too experienced at the game. You can see me getting and also failing at some last hits here. For those of you that don't know, Last hitting minions is fairly significant, because if you get the last hit on a minion, it means that you are receiving the gold for that kill, whereas if your minions destroy their minions, you're not receiving that gold bonus. So that's something to take note of, very significant. It's really what separates a lot of high and low ELO players. ELO is considered the ranking mechanism in League of Legends. If you have a low quote-unquote ELO versus a high quote-unquote ELO, that's what determines if you are, a better or worse player. So that's good to take note of. I'm just going to upgrade my boots here, make sure I have my pots. I think I already did that. I bought a second Doran's Blade. Stacking Doran's Blades is pretty common because they're really, really efficient. They give really good boosts considering the low cost. I mean, even something like, I believe it's the Abyssal Scepter, costs like, I think 45 gold less, and even though it does double the lifesteal, it doesn't give 100 health or any of the other buffs. So Doran's items do give really, really efficient buffs. You can see I killed Nasus there. That was with a combo that I like to particularly use. Rocket Jump from Tristana, which allows you to jump to the other side of the opponent, and then your ultimate R, which is unlocked at level 6, which allows you to push them in a certain direction. So you can see I went up there for what's called a gank. A gank is pretty much as the sound or word probably implies. It's where you catch the opponent off guard from multiple directions, kind of like a flank basically. It's usually just outnumbering them, jumping out from the bushes and ganking them. It's kind of guerrilla tactics. And because I had killed that Nasus character, I knew that there would be a little bit of time before he respawned to the map, so I wouldn't have to worry about him pressing my lane and hurting my tower. So that's the reason I went to the top lane to hopefully work on that gank. You can see my team's actually doing really well, not just me doing anything. It's I am doing things, but I mean my team is doing particularly well, which is nice. I'm not really used to the software that is used in recording League of Legends commentary, so I haven't managed to get too many matches in. So hopefully you guys still enjoy this match, regardless of what happens. I'm actually trying out a different build here with Tristana in this particular game. Normally I would go for a pickaxe into a BF sword into a Infinity Edge. Normally I don't even have to buy the cloak of whatever it's called, cloak of agility or something like that, because I have enough money for the Infinity Edge by the time that rolls around. Infinity Edge is an item that gives, I think, 80 attack and makes your critical hits do 250 instead of 200%, and it increases the likelihood of getting a critical hit. So it's a very, very powerful item, especially for ranged characters, etc. But I'm actually going for a Zeal, which increases movement speed, and I believe also attack speed, because it upgrades into what's called a Phantom Dancer, which pretty much does the same thing but with an increased amount. So that's kind of the build I'm going for now. I'm going for Phantom Dancer versus Infinity Edge. Main reason is because with my team doing so well, I feel like the match might not even go on so long that I need to go for an Infinity Edge build. I kind of just feel like going for a Phantom Dancer build to increase my character's utility in this mid-game, which I feel is going to be more decisive, because I think we can kind of get a snowball going, considering how effective our kills are. I think it's like 18-8. It should say in the upper right-hand corner. I'm having a little difficulty reading it. Yeah. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, which dictates how much gold I have. Normally, in the beginning of my game, I like to try to stay in my lane until I receive around 800 gold, at least 700, because that means that if you get to 700-800 gold, you can get boots in a second Doran's, which is pretty popular, or it's at least pretty effective. But I could also go for boots and pots if I don't get quite that many. My opponent's Tristana is going to try to gank me, but she's just going to rocket blast me, which is, or whatever. She's going to use her ultimate to blast me into my own tower, which is a pretty poor move. And because I knew that her ultimate was on cooldown, I tried to jump on her and push her into my turret, which would have effectively worked, but there was a Nasus there to gank me. and I didn't think that he was going to be back there that quick. I thought I would have seen him if he were to be there, so that was my own fault. But regardless, I'm not exactly sure what my kills are. Oh, I probably just brought it up. I just brought it up in game to check as soon as I say that. It's kind of funny. I'm actually 1-1-1, which means 1 kill, 1 death, and 1 assist, which is pretty good. And you can see they're trying to gank me here, so I'm going to rocket jump and flash. And I think I even used Ghost, which is kind of bad, because it means that I've wasted, or I've at least used my summoner spells, which have a very, very, very long cooldown, as you can see in the bottom right hand, or in the middle bottom area, where it says like 200 and 160. Those are seconds for the cooldowns for those summoner spells. Every time you select a champion to go into battle, you can pick 2 summoner spells to bring with you, which are moves that you'll have active or moves that you'll have ready to be activated at any time, etc. So yeah, the team's just going to push mid here, and we are going to take out the mid turrets, which is awesome. One of the champions on the opponent's team is going to opt to leave the game at this stage because we're kind of dominating. I suggest going for Dragon. I believe I suggested it, and they're going to take me up on that, so we're going to take that out, get a little bit of extra gold experience, etc. Push the creeps back out on the lane. Pushing creeps is really important on the lane because it makes the creeps from your side advance towards the opponent, and when that happens, they have to deal with those creeps or else suffer damage to their turrets. So while they're dealing with those creeps, it provides opportunities for you to go face some of the neutral monsters on the map without worrying about being attacked. And a lot of the neutral monsters on the map give you buffs, which will really help in upcoming team fights. So that's kind of the strategy our team's been using. We try to kill 1 or 2 champions to gain a little advantage, push the creeps, or even push the creeps before we attack the champions. And that way we were free to attack Baron or Dragon or whatever. So I was standing in the brush there. When you're standing in the brush, your character is actually invisible. For those of you that don't know that, so that's pretty awesome. It's really useful in team fights, and it's also useful for what I'm using right now, which is to recall. Recall's a button that allows you to go back to base, but if you're hit while you're recalling, you will be knocked out of it, so it does leave you very vulnerable for a short duration. So having the ability to stand in these stealth brushes is really nice. I'm going to stand here in the brush hoping that maybe if only one enemy decides to push, I can rocket jump and push him into the turret and get a kill. Unfortunately, 2 of my opponents are going to push mid, so I harass, get a little damage in, weaken them, and then rocket jump away. That way I don't die. And now I'm pinging Baron, because after weakening those 2 champions, I'm pushing them back up to their base. And as you can see, we've pushed the creep so that none of it is on our side of the river. We have a pretty distinct advantage, so we are just going to take out Baron, which is really nice, because he gives a lot of gold as well as a buff. And that buff's going to come in handy for allowing our team to try to push on the next minion, or creep wave. So here we go, we're pressing on the innermost turret. There's actually 3 turrets if you count the one in the base, or even 4 if you count the 2 right next to the Nexus. And now we're just walking around because the creep on the right hand side is a lot closer to the tower than the left hand side. The way that the turrets work in this game is that they won't attack you unless you're attacking a champion. Therefore, if your creep are attacking a turret and then you attack the turret, they're not going to attack you back unless you attack a champion, because turrets are prioritized to defend their champions. So don't attack a champion when you're near a turret, or else it will target you, which could be very devastating. So you can see us targeting the Nexus now. You can see me targeting the Nexus in particular. I get it down to just a sliver of health, and then I am taken out. So that's kind of my own fault. Generally, I wouldn't overextend like that. But considering how snowballish the game's been, I haven't really been too worried about it. So I did end up getting that Infinity Edge after my Phantom Dancer, because I wanted that increased movement and attack speed before going for it, I guess. And next I got a Vampiric Scepter, because Vampiric Scepter, along with a BF Sword, which is a popular item, does build into a Bloodthirster, which gives lifesteal. So now you can see me soloing Dragon, because I am level, I believe, 18 at this stage, which is plenty high enough to solo Dragon, especially with the fact that I am a AD carry, so I have very high damage output. I'm just going to run into their forest to steal their blue buff, which will reduce my cooldowns. And considering that they had, you know, they had like 1 or 2 allies already leave the game quite some time ago, the game's pretty much been over since that stage, hence the reason why they left. But I think this battle was still pretty useful to show to you guys, because it showed some of the mechanics of the game, because I know that a lot of you guys watching this won't have League of Legends experience. You can see me rocket jumping out of there, that way I don't die, and my team's just going to push the Nexus. So that's going to be the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I particularly did playing it, but I would have preferred to bring a little bit closer of a game, so hopefully you guys still enjoy this one. But I think, like I said, it was useful to show off some of the mechanics, and also it's really difficult for me at this moment in time to do a lot of screen recording for League of Legends. So I will work on it, and let me know what you guys think if you want to see more League of Legends commentary. If you have some tips, if you'd prefer to see a little bit more of an in-depth professional commentary, I can do that. I wanted to make this first one fairly basic, like I said, because I know a lot of people watching won't be familiar with it. But maybe more people are familiar with the game than I know, so perhaps I should try to be a little bit more insightful. I could follow the game a little bit more if that's what you're interested in. Personally, I think it might be a little better if I didn't follow my own character's perspective, but instead had a global perspective, much in the same way that StarCraft 2 commentators commentate. But I don't currently know how to do that. I think I might have an inkling on how that goes about being done, but I'm not completely sure. So regardless, let me know what you guys think. Please, thank you. Like if you enjoy. Hopefully you guys did, and I'll catch you later.